Hey friends, I wanted to give a continuance based on today's devotional, which was called The Purpose of Brokenness. And this is in the Charles Stanley devotional. I really, if you didn't hear today's devotional, just go back and listen. It's listed under the shorts, but the scripture for today was Job 23:10. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. I just, in this devotional, it really talks about how sometimes we repeat these trials and we'll continue to go through these cycles until the Lord allows us to be broken, that brokenness from self-reliance. Well, I have personal experience with that, and I'm telling you right now, it's not fun when you have to completely keep retaking the test because you keep falling into the same mistakes again and again and again. And I, in the lessons that I've learned in my life, is that to really just wholeheartedly seek the Lord and to rely upon His strength and not our own. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to die to ourselves. But that's what the Lord calls us to do. We are to die to ourselves and live for Him, and to be still and know that He is God, and trust and surrender these things to Him, that we don't have to fight these battles in the power of our own flesh. We don't have to defend ourselves even and try to prove that we're right or wrong. And sometimes, a lot of the time, I should say, a lot of the battles that we fight are spiritual. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but it's a spiritual warfare, and sometimes these tests come to see, like, how are we going to go about it? Are we going to go into the place of prayer in the secret place and bring these things before the Lord and really truly be an intercessor and love our enemies and love those who persecute us? Or are we going to fight back in the power of our flesh? And a lot of the time I do notice that when I try to take things into my own control and fight it in the power of my own flesh, a lot of the time it totally just backfires and it makes a mess. I'm going to give you an example. There was one time I had this person treating me extremely unfairly, and I would come to the Lord and I'd say, "Oh, Father, Lord, please take this thorn from my flesh and, remove it from me." And it didn't. It continued to persist. And I struggled with this thorn in the flesh for like 3 years. And the more I cried out to the Lord, it seemed like the more intense the trial became. And to the point where I really came before the Lord and I just started really interceding and loving that person who was really persecuting me. And truly, my prayer life and my heart towards that individual totally changed, because I started to see them with eyes of compassion and empathy. And like as the word says, we had to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us. And so the more I prayed for that person, the Lord completely transformed my heart to the point where I really came to genuinely love and care about that person, where my actions changed to be more that I would try to really show compassion and love to that person and even go out of my way to bless them. And in the end of that story, when my heart was completely radically changed, the Lord radically removed that trial, to the point where that person completely disappeared out of my life. And I was very grieved in the beginning when that person kind of just walked away and that door shut. I was very grieved because my heart was truly changed, and I genuinely love that person, genuinely still love that person, genuinely do care about that person, genuinely still pray for that person. But I do realize something that the Lord showed me was that He closed that door because He is working on that person. And there's nothing that I could have said or done that could have changed what was going on within that individual's heart. And so anyhow, the reason why I'm sharing this is because in this brokenness, it really comes down to the place where we have to really surrender it to the Lord and really walk in the love of Christ, and to know that God is in control, to be still and know that He is in control, and to trust in His promises. The Lord works all things together, not some things, not great things, not just the big or little things. No, the Lord works all things together for the good of those who love Him. And rest assured, friend, if you love the Lord will work all things together for your good. But it comes down to being reliant upon Him and not yourself. To rely on the power of the Spirit, rely upon the power of prayer, and really wholeheartedly seek to do the Father's will, to be about the Father's business and not your own motive, not your own goals or plans, but to really be about the Father's business and to have that love that Jesus desires that we all have. He says that He gives us a new commandment, that we are to love one another as He has loved us, that He desires that we love one another. And so I just wanted to share that. If you feel like you're in a season where you're continuing to repeat the same trials again and again, I just pray that you will come to a place where you will just lay it all down. Lay it down before the foot of the cross, or enter into that throne room. Listen, I'm going to tell you, in the beginning of my walk, I used to envision leaving everything at the foot of the cross, and just leave it there because Christ died for all of it. But recently I've started to envision this, that we enter into His courts with praise and thanksgiving. We are raised up and seated with Christ in the heavenly places, far above all rule and all authority. So we are to come boldly before the throne of grace. Now, when I envision these things, I come boldly before the throne and I leave it there, and I petition it, and I pray over these things, and I surrender it in love. In love, because love never fails. It's true. So, in your trial, come before the Lord boldly and lay those things down, friends. Lay those things down and wholeheartedly trust in the Lord. Be still and know that He is God and that He is in control. He has the final say. Walk in love, because love never fails and you'll never go wrong with that. I hope that you have a blessed day. Until next time, take care.